For canvas information, almost forgot. Gonna throw this in. You are making a canvas that is going to be titled desktop underscore RME. Stands for the three things that we're talking about this week. And you're going to want it to be 8.5 by 11 inches, 300 ppi. This is just like one of our last assignments where I showed you kind of a final product. I give you some pointers, and then you make something similar but not exactly the same as I do. This week we're focusing on emphasis and movement and rule of odds. For our Photoshop assignment, we're gonna practice some basic layer actions as well as kind of incorporating emphasis and rule of odds. So in this assignment, I have 3 elements at least. Remember, rule of odds wants us to use either an odd number, in this case 3 or more, so you'll want to use like 3 or 5 or 7 things. 3 is the minimum you would need for this, but I encourage you to do whatever fits your design the best. What you're going to do is, at minimum, you need some kind of side profile of a human or animal. Here I have a side profile of a human and an animal. That animal is my second figure in this design. And then my third item is this kind of smaller flock of birds. What you're going to do is create layer masks that kind of help mask an additional texture or element on top of your original item. So for those, you want them to be unified, because we're still practicing variety. You want those to be unified somehow in some kind of overarching theme. For mine, I chose nature again. So I got a side portrait of a woman just to start off with. The item that's clipping onto her silhouette, her positive space, is a scene of a forest. I have a bird on a branch and it's getting clipped with some flowers. And then lastly, I have this flock of birds that's getting clipped with some more flowers. For this assignment, you will want this to have a black background. You can start that at the beginning or end. If you just get your paint bucket, make sure you get all the way to the black corner and then click to fill the background with black. This will give the best effect for this. When you're removing the background of something, I'll switch to this just to show you a quick example. Remember that some things have these kind of white backgrounds. So to get rid of that, there's a couple things you can try. You can either try select subject, let the computer think for a second, and then hopefully it has selected the things that you want, in this case the apples. Then you'll click this little inside outside button that inverts it, and you can get a big eraser and just erase that away. If that doesn't work, remember that we have all these selection tools that we learned about, like object selection tool, where you draw the box around your item, let the computer figure out that that's what you want, do the same thing, inside outside button, erase. If that doesn't work, there's other tools, but usually that's going to get you what you want, either object selection or select subject. For this layer masking, as you can see, this little arrow that kind of like clips down, that lets me have, instead of this like portrait of a woman, I have this kind of picture of a mountain. You right click your picture. Here, I'll unclip it for a second. You right click your picture and then you're going to click create clipping mask, or you can use the keyboard shortcut Alt Control G. This clips, as you see this little arrow, this clips to what's right below it. So if you want to clip anything, it has to be the clipping layer and then your object. So my setup is real simple. I have a black background, I have 3 objects, and they all have a clipping layer. Easy peasy. For this, since there's not a lot for me to grade off of, I'm looking for some very basic things. I'm looking that you're using pictures that are HD, no blurry pictures. I'm looking for the fact that you are fully clearing out the background, no kind of little like white spots here and there. I'm looking that you're actually creating clipping masks. So it should look like a clean finished product just like this, and you'll be all good to go. Don't forget to click File, Export, Quick Export as PNG, and put it in your Google Drive. Bye.